They're sinking the bloody club and they need calling out. But this morning, we've got facts behind it, because we can factually tell you that with the release of Deloitte's Football Money League report, Manchester United are down to 4th in the Premier League for revenue. Liverpool are top with £702 million. Man City are second with £700 million. Arsenal are third with £690 million. And Manchester United are way down in 4th with £667 million. We are dropping, and it's going to drop even more, because that's revenue for 24-25 when we were actually in the Europa League. Can you imagine what the next one's going to be for 25-26? We're only playing 40 games, the least amount of games we've played since 1913. It's going to get worse, people. It is going to get worse. Also, I can tell you, in relation to worldwide Man United's ranking, in 2017, we were number 1 in the world for total revenue and global rank. That went down to 3rd in 2018. It went down to 4th in 2020. It went down to 5th in 2021. And then this year, we're down to 8th. Look, Man United's a business. Manchester United is a business. We know that. But it's a failing business. We're failing on the pitch. You know, you can project the most important thing, which is when Sir Alex Ferguson retired, we were number 1. Who wants to plot a graph on what United have done? Maybe someone can write it down in the live chat and I'll read it out. Read down our league positions since Sir Alex Ferguson left, because I guarantee it's been up and down, and 8th and 15th and 2nd and 4th and 5th and 6th and all that shit. We know that we are falling apart on the football pitch and have been for 13 years. But we're also falling apart financially as well. The thing that they're here for, they're actually bad at. Manchester United are dropping like a brick in a swimming pool, like I say, in relation to our revenue. And you know what? How are they going to change this? How are they going to change this? We've just spent half a season out of Europe, and that doesn't take into account that. We're also looking to build a stadium, which we're going to throw debt into the club. And you think we're going to go out there and start buying world-class players and recruiting world-class managers and go for it? You know where this is going to go. Spin, 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 spin. We are walking to the end of a January transfer window. I thought about this just before I went live, and I thought, you know what? At the start of the January transfer window, the main thing everybody was angry about was we better go in the January transfer market and sign someone. We better sign somebody in the January transfer market. We better show some ambition to go and get 4th place, which is clearly there. That was at the start of the window. Now, we're not buying anyone. We haven't even got the manager here anymore. We've got an interim manager and we're not buying everybody. And Wilcox has won. Because at the start of the window, he was like, we're not buying anybody. And here we are at the end of the window. Well, we haven't got a manager anymore. We've got an interim and we haven't bought anybody. Because they've won. Because they bloody won again, haven't they? And what are fans talking about? I'm fed up with ex-players and I can't believe Amorim didn't go and watch the youth. Sometimes you worry about the general intelligence of this fan base. You really do. Because you start a month going, the only thing that matters is putting pressure on the board to buy somebody for Amorim in January. And we're now sat there without Amorim, without any signings. Oh, Carrick went to watch the youth again. And, oh, God, I wish Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt would stop talking. Oh, God, you know. I got sent another clip of some twats on the radio. Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes. And you're like, shut up, you uneducated fools. Why aren't you talking about what we're talking about? Why aren't you talking about the factual degradation of Manchester United? Why aren't you talking about the fact that year on year we're getting worse? Why aren't you talking about the fact that Manchester United are getting worse? Or do you actually wallow in it? Do you actually enjoy it? Do you actually like being part of the bloody spin cycle where you protect that for your own good? Because something sinister is going on, isn't there? And it should be called out. I mean, it's not acceptable. We know that Man United's run like a bloody business. We know it's run like a business. I would expect, if we're not going to be good on the pitch, we might be top of the league for revenue. You know, we might be performing well financially. We're not. We're actually getting worse. The absolute mic drop here is, if we'd never been bought by the Glazers, we'd be top of the revenue and we'd be top of the league. That's the frustrating thing. We'd actually be top of the league for revenue and top of the league for performance if we'd never been bought by the Glazers. Because they've sunk the club. We're making what, £650 million a year in revenue. Real Madrid are making £1 billion. £1 billion. 10 years ago, we were competing with Real Madrid for like number one in the world. They're nearly double the revenue what we're doing. And I couldn't give a toss about the money side of football. I really couldn't. I know it's a big part of it, but I want to be good on the pitch. But they're not even performing in relation to financials. And actually, before we get into some other bits, please somebody tell me how this gets better. How is this going to get better, right? It's not a blip. Roll out Omar Barada. He's not in a wheelchair, but you know what I mean. Like, get him out. And Omar Barada, the CEO of Manchester United, can tell us, one, how we're going to get back to the top of English football, but two, how we're going to get back to the top of being, the most lucrative club in the league. It's embarrassing. We can't sit there and say, we're Manchester United, we've got a big fan base. Well, clearly that's not working, isn't it? I mean, we have got a massive fan base and you still can't make as much money as Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal. So, what does that mean? We've got a huge fan base. We've probably got a bigger fan base than those clubs. But you can't get the money out of them, can you? Because you're failing. You're failing. You've got an open goal. And you can't actually make Man United the number one revenue producing club in the league, even though we've probably got the biggest fan base. Because you're crap at your job. And how are you going to turn that round, Omar? What are you going to do? Bump up the season ticket prices and skim off the fans that actually are loyal to the club, release another replica kit that's something to do with the legend. Maybe you can, get another kit out that looks a little bit like a kit that we won in 20 years ago. What is your plan? Because the plan of most of us would be to invest in the team, make it good, have a manager that's good, have players that are good, climb up the league, get in the Champions League, increase revenue, and people will buy more stuff. I mean, that's football. That is football. Simple. What are you going to do? No. Cut our cloth accordingly, employ learner drivers, look long term, and continue to fail and sink the club. And where we sit here now, going back to what I said before about we want signings in January so that we can get Champions League football. The fans want signings in January so we can get Champions League football. They don't want signings in January so they can go and buy a shirt with the name on the back. We want signings in January so we can get Champions League football. Champions League football earns more money. You're happy, we're happy. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to listen to that. We're not going to listen to that rubbish. Sack the manager, get an interim. That's what we're going to do. Spend the money on an interim. Spend the money on sacking a manager. And you sort of look at it and you go, the chances of us getting into Europe are probably 50-50 in relation to the Champions League. It's probably 50-50, although Liverpool did look very good last night and, you don't know what's going to happen with Chelsea. So we probably got a 50-50 chance of getting into the Champions League. And we're not spending anything in January. We'll wait until the summer. If we don't get into the Champions League, the revenue report that's come out this morning is for 24-25, not 25-26, because you can't do 25-26, it's halfway through the year. So we're talking about Man United. How many games did we play last year? I would hazard a guess in excess of 50, maybe 55, maybe more. So we're going to play 40 this year. We're playing 15 games less this year than we did last year. And last year, we were in 4th place by a long way for revenue. What I can tell you, next year, we're going to be even worse. Without a doubt, Ineos and the Glazers together are worse than it was with just the Glazers. It's shocking. He's not a lifelong fan. I would argue that to his face. I'd say you're not a lifelong fan because if you were a lifelong fan, you would put what being a Man United fan is ahead of what you've done to this football club. You've put your own personal interest and your own personal money at the forefront of this project. You have not put yourself forward as a Man United fan. Everything you've done is about business. Bad business, but business. You have not done anything that a Man United fan would have done in your 2 years at this club. And if you have, you've got no idea about football. Your recruitment in the board and in managers is shocking. Your decision making is shocking. And what you've done to the very fabric of this football club is shocking. You're going to be the guy that knocked Old Trafford down as well. Some people agree with that, some people don't. So he has to be involved in the protests, and shame on those people in the summer that attacked the 58 for doing the protests.